Box on 590 The Fan, KFNS. We have future Hall of Famer Aeneas Williams, future Pro Bowler Laurence Maroney with us in studio, Rick Majerus at 11. Combine coming up next weekend in Indianapolis. What is it like strutting on stage with a bunch of men looking at you and you're in your underwear?
Oh man, it's a meat market as I call it. That's basically what it is. You know, you go out there and you selling your product and you just happen to be the product. And so you out there selling yourself basically. Who got the best looking body? That's how I look at it.
What do you walk out there? Do you flex? Or what do you do?
You definitely can. They basically, it's a scale. So you basically, they want to see how much you weigh. So you stand on the scale, but at the same time, the scale, you facing out at everybody, and they want to see like your body fat. You know what I'm saying? Are you working out, or is it a sloppy weight, or is it a good looking weight? So I just look at that as a big meat market.
So you said Vernon Davis was the most impressive?
Yeah, that guy went on there and just shut the whole crowd down.
How about it for you? You being from the small school, Southern University? Southern, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What was that like walking on stage?
All right, first of all, Frank, enough of this small school stuff. Southern is actually the largest historical black college in the world. Okay. We're talking about over 12,000 students here, Frank.
I stand corrected.
But I look at it as a business. I mean, we're a potential asset standing on that stage. And it's no different from when you got a cow that's a potential asset when they go and buy these cows and these little studs. It was funny, man. Just just going back, it brings just makes me want to laugh. Just standing on that stage and people watching and looking at you, prodding you, all kind of stuff. And then when you go to the doctor,
oh man.
What do you mean?
I mean, they twist your knee. I mean, you make it a knee injury by the time they finish with you, looking for one.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, they twist your knee, your arm.
History, all the way back when you was born. It didn't have to be pertaining to football. I remember I broke my elbow when I was 7. And they wanted to know about that, and it had nothing to do with football.
They want to know about injury from Herbert Hoover when you were 7.
Yeah, they want to know any ankle sprain, anything. They want to know, and they just put you on the table, and you got 7 different teams in there. And so, you know, they all reading your history of injuries, and they pulling on you and making sure things good. And like he said, you'll get hurt just by them pulling on you.
You know, quick story, Frank, from the Combine. Maurice Hurst, who actually played with New England, was drafted in the 4th round out of Southern a year before I was. He was at the Combine with Deion Sanders. He said, and those lines get long, by the way. You're standing outside waiting on the doctor. He said they had a long line. Deion Sanders walks up with his entourage and everything on. He walks to the front of the line and he says to everybody, he said, okay, let's line up how we're going to get drafted. And he went to the front of the line.
That's good. What about the Wonderlic Test? Did you take it down there?
Yeah. No, I got a 40 out of 50.
That's a high score.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's the Normandy education.
That's right. Aren't there some kind of ridiculous questions that are asked?
Yeah, they asked the sky blue today.
That's one of the questions. Do you remember your Wonderlic?
I don't even remember it. I don't even remember the emphasis being put on it. I just remember going through this long test.
Do you remember taking the Giants test? I got a quick story for you, too. Okay. Something just like that. The Giants test is basically, it's a long, stupid test, man. It's like 300-400 questions, and they think you ain't paying attention, but they'll ask you a set of questions, and they'll try to reword them and ask you them same questions again to see if you're going to change your answer. Yeah, wow. They try to be slick. Like they ask you a question and try to reword it in a total different way to see if you're going to change your answer. So I remember we walked in there, and there was Vince Young in there. We all in there, me, Vince, and Liner, we all in there about to take it. And so they hand out the test, and you see it's 500 crescents. Vince looking at it, and I'm wondering what he's doing. Vince look at the test, stand up, and walk out. They was like, Vince, what you doing? He said, I'm not even going to be on the board long enough for y'all to draft me. Why am I even taking it?
Nicely played, and he wasn't, of course. Now, he had that low, reportedly, because they're not supposed to come out, that low Wonderlic Test score. An NFL executive said the other day on ESPN that we can't draft dumb players anymore. How smart do you have to be to play in the NFL? I mean, that playbook is pretty. I mean, you got to have a memory here, don't you?
You do. At the end of the day, I don't really feel like that Wonderlic Test gonna really tell me if I'm an athlete or not. It just tell me if I can study and I can learn whatever you teach me, fast or slow. But at the end of the day, it really ain't taking nothing away from my athletic ability. Whether I pass it with good honors or I just do really bad on it, at the end of the day, I can still play football. But it's one of them things that they just want to know how smart you is, basically, because the playbooks in these days, especially for New England, are complicated. And, you know, one of the things I learned, no matter how good you are, if you don't know the playbook, the coach is not putting you out there.
Yeah. Well, I imagine being a quarterback for a Mike Martz coach team, you'd really have to have an unbelievable brain. What about being a cornerback for the St. Louis Rams?
Well, not just St. Louis Rams, but I played under Rex Ryan's system, his dad, Buddy Ryan. And, I mean, we would have 4 different calls that could be made on one particular play. But let's also set the record straight. Football is not rocket science, all right? We're not solving all the world problems. The most important thing, they can talk about that they don't draft done players. If guys playing at these Division I schools, I believe they have the ability to comprehend a playbook. It's the ability to follow directions, Frank, that get guys in trouble and making the same mistakes, not because they can't learn a playbook. It's the ability to focus, and that's what they're focusing on this test, to make sure you're paying attention, not necessarily the content of the information sometimes.
How often would Tom Brady change a play? Audible?
Oh, my God.
A lot, or?
Most of the plays, it'd be a 2 to 3 play call in a huddle, to where one word would change the play. And when I tell you, that has to be one of the smartest guys I ever played with, because we'll be sitting there in the middle of a game, and we'll be in a shotgun or whatever, and he'd be like, watch the corner, he's coming.
And the corner.
And out of nowhere, I promise you that corner is coming. I'm like, wow, how do you know he was coming? You know, it's just all about reading safeties, and that's one thing that I had to learn how to do, because safeties gonna tell it all. He'll tell you that they have to cover up the blitz. No matter, I don't care how much they want to disguise it. They got to cover up the blitz. So, you know, it really helped me out. But I used to think, like, man, Brady is kind of smart, man. He get us out of so many bad plays and get us in so many great plays. It's just amazing. It's just one of them guys that is always good to play with.
Who's a guy jumped out at you as being, man, he's got it figured out, or he's really good in the huddle?
Well, the guys that I played against, Troy Aikman, guys like that, and also
what would Aikman do?
Well, he knew what we were doing, even in that 4-6 defense. The most important thing that I would encourage young guys to do, and that's what Tom Brady has done, Aikman has done, I had to do, Kurt Warner does. You study, because at some point in the film room, you're going to see somebody with tendency. There were receivers, I knew which leg, if they put up a certain leg on the line of scrimmage, they put their right leg ahead. I knew what route they were running. So you could study it so much where we all have tendencies. You know, safety may scratch his head and you know he's coming. And these quarterbacks and these offensive coordinators, they do it enough where I can identify certain things that you do.